What's happening right now is there's over $300 trillion of institutional money floating around the world looking for a home. The last 20 years in particular, there's been a hyper acceleration in the printing of money. This is what Ron Paul was talking about, all the Austrians were talking about, and nobody really listened to them. America went from $4.5 trillion in a national debt and a surplus to over $30 trillion, and the prospect of a 3% interest rate, meaning it costs you $1 trillion a year just to service your debt. This is not healthy. The world economy is not healthy. And there's now the biggest division ever between the retail investor and the institutional investor. The institutional investor, they have basically a mandate to go and push somehow, some way with their trillions of dollars under management, 10-15% returns. Now, 10-15% returns on top of inflation of 20%. They're doing all kinds of monkey business and shenanigans. Why is it your homes are getting so expensive? Well, because the BlackRocks of the world and the massive private funds of the world are going and buying regular, everyday 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes through big aggregators. And you wake up and you see a $250,000 home become $500,000, $750,000. Can you afford it? No, because wages don't track with that. It's a good investment for them. It's a good hedge at the moment for inflation, but it's not permanent. Last 2 years, we saw the greatest wealth transfer in human history from the poor to the rich. And now the rich are admitting that maybe all the things that they did over the last 2 years were not necessary, but they don't give the money back, the property back. When the markets go in not the direction they want, they dump it. The retail people are holding because they are opting out of a global system that's unfair, a global system that's frankly rigged. I've seen it myself. I've been in the meetings. I've talked to the people everywhere I go. They don't care at all in any way, shape, or form about whether you live well. Your standard of living is the same as the standard of living of your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. In fact, quite the opposite. They're trying to prepare the masses to accept a standard of living significantly less than the one that they inherited, the one that they grew up with, the one that their parents grew up with. This is no way to run the world. This is no way to live well. It's because they broke the world money system. And the entire point of cryptocurrencies are to restore some trust, credibility, and stability into the world money system. That's 2015, when the initial parts of the Cardano project were created. And every single day, what's so frustrating to me is we get stronger, yet the markets, because of institutional manipulation, amongst other factors, grow weaker. Today, right now, May 10th, 2022, there are more people using Cardano than ever before. There are more transactions on Cardano than ever before, more smart contracts on Cardano than ever before, more NFTs on Cardano than ever before, more dApps under construction than ever before. Next month, the Vossel hard fork is on schedule, which will bring the greatest performance improvement ever in the history of Cardano, alongside numerous new features for dApp development. This is just one of many events that are going to occur over the next 12 months. In addition to that, things that built entire ecosystems, like algorithmically generated stablecoins. We have JED coming. It's already on testnet. Much better design, I'd argue, than most. And it's a testimony to the hybridization of formal methods, peer review, and good engineering practices and principles. Again, basic principles. If you're building something for everyone and you're building something to last, build it well, even if it takes a little bit more money and a little bit more time. That it's not going to be first to market, it's going to be best to market, and those who exhibit stability and resilience in the bad times that survive. That's why today we're stronger than we've ever been in the history of the project. More people than we've ever had in the history of the project. Yet that will not be reflected in the media, the prices, or the current atmosphere, because it's one of fear, greed, and it's one that doesn't seem to care about basic principles. But here's the thing, the fair weather people in all those cycles, they get drowned out. And the people who stay behind are the people who are here for the long term. And our community, in my view, is the best because they get it. They've gotten it from the very beginning. We have to do better. We have to leave behind something to those who come after us, which was better than what we found. As Augustus Caesar said, he found his city in granite and left it marble. And we want to do the same. So we look to the future. Consensus is coming. We're going to be there. The community is going to be there. And we're going to show people how strong the ecosystem is. We're going to talk about all the things that are not only just coming, are already here, but are ignored. I hear people say, oh, there's no VCs in Cardano. Well, actually, we have one of the largest around. What is Catalyst? $700 million ready to go, deployed in a responsible manner through funds you control, the community. And every single time a voting round happens, we see more participation, we see more voting, and many of the great projects from NAMI on down receive funding from Catalyst to get started. It's what keeps great companies like DC Spark in our ecosystem and gives them the lifeblood that they need for Fint and Milkomeda and other things. And that's just the beginning. That's going to grow, especially as the voting centers come online. Participation increases. We will see thousands of projects launched in the long term every single year just from that. And here's the difference. Unlike the VCs of Silicon Valley and elsewhere that are chasing manipulation, bad tokenomics, insider distributions, this is the people's money. It doesn't need these things. So the things that come from it are fair. They're not sexy. They don't get love in the media because no one gets paid in that respect. But in the end, they build a decentralized economy. That's just one of dozens of innovations we brought to bear. The hard fork combinator, the extended UTXO model, which by the way continues to be misunderstood purposefully or perhaps just because people don't seem to understand functional programming, but frankly is the only way to scale long-term an ecosystem of billions of users. Global state is a fool's errand to chase. You cannot do that. Don't go build a replicated system. Even Ethereum is starting to admit this as they move from Eth1 to Eth2. You see, look carefully at what people do, at the code that they write, the papers that they draft, not what they say, not what they babble on about in Reddit and Twitter and Telegram and other channels, but what they actually do, what they actually release. You see, things like decentralization, throughput, these are deep conversations. Inclusive accountability, these are deep conversations that need to be had because right now decisions are being made in this industry and abroad about whether you're in control or someone else is in control. The entire point of the papers we've written, the code we've written, the ecosystem we built is to preserve the basic principle that you're in control, not someone else. That's why Mithril was created. That's why we wrote Ouroboros the way that we did. There's plenty of ways to make things artificially fast, as long as you trust a third-party server. There's plenty of ways to make things settle as fast as you can imagine. Look at the conventional banking system or Visa or MasterCard. They certainly run very quickly and they certainly process billions of global transactions. But to do this at scale in a completely decentralized, ever decentralizing way, meaning tomorrow it's more decentralized than today, is a hard thing requiring new research and development, which is why we invested the time to write the papers that we wrote. It's why we invested the time to apply formal methods to those papers. It's why we invested the time to measure twice, cut once, whereas others did not, chasing gains for their VC masters. This is the difference. And it's a time for choosing. The institutional people have already chosen their fate. They're playing musical chairs with a global economy which will collapse. It cannot sustain itself. If something like a conflict, a war, can break the globe, if People use the convenient boogeyman of the week to excuse inflation or recession when they cannot possibly be intellectually honest that printing trillions of dollars every year out of thin air is not going to have ramifications and consequences. If the warfare state needs to increase and continue, empire needs to increase and continue for all of our standards to be the same. Meanwhile, our environment is being devastated. Meanwhile, standards of living are going down, despite the fact that technology, social progress, and education are improving. Never has there been a time in human history where we have gained so much from the labors of those who came before us, yet our systems are so inadequate to harness what we've gained. And never has there been a time in human history where we have been so blind to the long-term consequences of what we're doing. We're due for a systems change, and the institutions aren't going to do that for us. They're going to go down with the sinking ship because they simply have no other choice. The point of cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology has always been a different option than the dystopian future that's being offered to us, where we own nothing and will be happy. The point is we get our freedom back, our liberty back. That is what we are seeking. Yet people are trained to babble on and on and on about the current state of the markets, which are caused by manipulation and outsiders. Think about it. I, for one, I'm done. I know the hills I'm going to die on. I know the places I'm going to live, the things I'm going to do. The caravan moves on. We're going to keep beating the drum every day. Keep writing the papers, keep writing the code, keep building. And the difference between the days in the past and today is we got an army now. There are 3.5 million people in this ecosystem. And you know what? Not too distant future, we're going to wake up and that's going to be over 10. And not too distant future, we're going to wake up and that's going to be over 100. Why not? Technology will be better. It will be more decentralized. Many new actors will be in the space. And we keep doing more and more. And more of the world economy can run on our system. It's inevitable in that respect. That is where we're going. That is what we're doing. That's the point of the things. If you can't see that, then you have to ask yourself, what is really important to you? What matters to you? What's the point of all of this? Don't you see the train wreck that's coming? Don't you see where the world is going? And shouldn't we do better if we can do better? Or maybe not. It's ultimately your choice. You still get to make one. There will come a day, if you make no choice, that you don't. Let's pray that that day never comes.